The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
Okay, let's go.
Happy Friday, everybody. All right, I'm not going to lie. I'm still kind of on a crazy high from that episode yesterday with the JFK unwind. Honestly, that was like my best work to date. It really was. I listened to it like 10 times. Well, I have to do that, make sure it's coming through on all platforms. But no, I'm just kidding. But I did listen to it a few times, and seriously, like, God, that's why I got into this podcast business, because of being able to put out content like that. I really hope you got a chance to listen to it. If you didn't, and you have time this weekend, go back and listen to it. It's episode 18. And I think it really does a good job of laying out the entire situation with the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And the reason this is so important is because, again, that was in 1963. And so we have come so far as a country in terms of so many things, as a world, actually. And then as far as technology and as far as everything, we've come so far. But if something like that can happen in 1963 and, almost 60 years later, you still don't really know the truth, do you not think that something could happen in 2016 or 2020 or 2024 or 2001, 9/11, 2001 to be exact? Like, my point of that, and really the reason I did that episode yesterday, was because that's what kind of got me, inquisitive about everything. That's what got me to like take a step back and be like, man, that's a sitting president of the United States of America that was murdered in broad daylight, regardless of anything else. Like, that's insane. And so the fact that here we are 60 years later, and there is tremendous viable data showing that the given narrative might not be true and can and should be questioned, like, that tells you everything you need to know about current life. Seriously, think about that. And for me, that was what got me started with everything. The biggest comments back yesterday was about his brain. Like, where's John F. Kennedy's brain? What happened to that brain? I mean, seriously, for the most part, most of the people in their, let's say, 40s and 50s who got back to me, nobody even knew that. I didn't know that he was buried without his brain and that his brain was stolen. So think about that. Like, how did we not know that? How is that not more common knowledge? This isn't like a random brain. This is John F. Kennedy's brain. Like, that also, like, that makes you think and that makes you question things. All right, I think I said the word brain as many times as I've said the word maiden so far. Okay. The other thing I got a lot of comments on was that bullet. I mean, what the heck? That bullet, like, went through three people, but 7 times. And then it was like, it turned right, left, right, left. It reminded me of a NWA song. It's like, right, left, you're toothless. And then they say, gosh dang, Ray D's ruthless. All right, I changed that. I didn't want to swear. When I swear, which, by the way, I don't want to swear on my podcast anyway. Yesterday, there was the F-bomb dropped by Joe Rogan, but then I have to like mark it as E for explicit. Actually, I don't know if that's good or bad. Maybe that helps with listens or something. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that episode yesterday. And like I said, if you didn't get a chance to listen to it, I'd highly recommend you go back and take a listen to episode 18. I also wanted to encourage everybody that is not connected with me on the various social media platforms, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or TikTok or LinkedIn or whatever. I would love to get connected. I actually had a few conversations with people yesterday that I didn't even know. So that was pretty cool. And one of them actually gave me an incredible topic for a DSD. So that was awesome. So again, I'd encourage you, whether we are currently friends or hope to be future friends, I would love to hear from everybody. You can find me pretty easily on all social platforms, Ray Star. You could also search for Deep Shallow Dive. The TikTok is at Deep Shallow Dive, but everything else you can find both handles. Okay, so listen, I want to kind of review a couple things for the rest of this episode because honestly, this was a pretty heavy week and a heavy week in terms of podcasting for me. And I really, really feel proud of, the 3 episodes that we did. The first one being on 9/11, which we did on 9/12, and then talking about what I think is the greatest idea of the 21st century, the debate between RFK Jr. and Vivek, and then obviously ending with the JFK thing. But what I wanted to start out with was just a little more on how, this concept of 9/11 basically comes around once a year on that date, and then we forget about it until the next year. And, I went back and I looked through things because I was thinking, okay, am I being too harsh about this? And I'm not. And, there was a post, I'm not going to mention the name, but, relatively popular person. And, all they did was they put a 9/11 image and it says, never forget. And then there's the praying emoji and the flag. And the thing got like 50,000 likes. And like to me, I'm like, What is that? That's like ridiculous. There's no I don't know, there's no emotion or meaning behind that. Like that person and so many others, they just posted something to post it. There's no tribute in there. There's nothing heartfelt. There's nothing anything. It's like 2 emojis, an image, and the words never forget. And what's a shame is, yeah, let's never forget, but let's also try and understand what happened that day. So, anyway, that's a setup because there is going to be more to come on the 9/11 thing because I decided I also don't want to be the type of person that doesn't walk the walk. And so when I said, hey, I didn't post it on 9/11, I posted my thing on 9/12 because I wanted to extend. Well, I don't want to leave that to just 9/12. So there's going to be continuation on that. The second thing that I wanted to give you guys an update on is, we got some movement on this debate. This thing is definitely in front of both camps. And, I wanted to read you part of the email that I sent them, and it's looking good. And basically, here it goes. Idea, a gentleman's debate, RFK Jr. versus Vivek. We will present a historic debate that gives the two new faces of American politics a chance to be heard, like gentlemen candidates such as JFK and Ronald Reagan. This debate will make America great again and reclaim democracy. I would love to set up a call to discuss. So basically, those are the two taglines. Obviously, Make America Great Again is kind of the Republican Trump tagline. And then RFK Jr. is using the tagline, Reclaim Democracy. So anyway, let's see what happens. I've got some other tricks up my sleeve in terms of, generating some more awareness towards this. But I'm hoping these guys, come around and want to make this happen. What's interesting is I don't even think it's up to them. There's just so many people around them and so many quote unquote experts that are whispering in their ear about X, Y, and Z. Fundamentally, it's a good idea and they should do it. And they're going to need to do it because I'll tell you why. I'm going to do an episode, hopefully next week, actually, and we're going to delve into the Bernie's blackout situation, which was about how Bernie Sanders was literally like so far ahead in the Democratic convention and process in 2020, and how the media started to black him out. And then you layer COVID on top of that, and all of a sudden he went from leading by double digits to dropping out. And that's what's going to happen to these guys. They're just going to get iced out unless they do, more of this type stuff. So anyway, there's that. I also wanted to say I'm going to start doing some more episodes on AI and introducing some more tools that I'm using and help you guys, even though this is just through audio, there's going to be video counterparts, whether again that's on Instagram and Facebook in Reels or whatever. But I'm going to start doing some more stuff on AI and showing you how I use some of these tools because they're super cool. They really are super cool. And, they're saving me a tremendous amount of time when it comes to this process, which is already a fairly cumbersome process. But leveraging some of these tools has been amazing. And I think it'll be interesting for you guys, to get a look under the hood for that stuff. Lastly, I'm going to close out this episode with it's like a 45-second clip from Steve Jobs. And this is something I've listened to probably 100 times, and I'm not even kidding. And it's something that I think is incredibly meaningful because whether it's talking about AI, whether it's talking about, delving into something like the JFK assassination, whether it's, creating a podcast, building something from scratch, a liquid vitamin, whatever the case may be. Those were obviously all examples of things that I've done, but they're all things that I was motivated to do out of passion and then also out of, a real, I guess, appreciation for what Steve Jobs said. So give this a listen. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Remember to call a spade, and Mr. Steve Jobs.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it. That's maybe the most important thing.
This episode was brought to you by Boost Liquid Vitamins. Wake up, take your Boost, start your day. Drink your vitamins, build your immune system with Boost. Available on Boost.com.